I never imagined that 6 simple words could change the entire direction of my marriage. But one night, exhausted and overwhelmed, I looked at my husband and said, "You make everything sexual. It's revolting." I didn't realize that in that instant, I was opening a wound that might never heal. 6 months later, I'm left wondering if I ruined everything with that one outburst, because since then, he hasn't laid a hand on me. I'm 28. For the first 3 years of our marriage, I thought I had a love story out of a movie. My husband, Daniel, adored me openly and fully. He was the kind of man who never let me forget how much he wanted me, constantly reminding me I was beautiful, his dream woman, the person he couldn't believe he'd been lucky enough to marry. Daniel's love wasn't quiet. It was passionate, loud, constant. He'd pull me close every time he passed me in the kitchen. He'd slip behind me while I cooked just to kiss my neck. He'd tap my hip playfully whenever I walked by in pajamas. At the start, I loved it. I even bragged to friends about how he still treated me like his girlfriend, how he couldn't keep his hands off me. They teased me about it, but secretly, I wore his affection like proof of how good I had it. Then life shifted. Work piled up. My mother's health declined. I spent long nights on calls with doctors, juggling deadlines and stress. I was tired, worn thin, emotionally drained. That was when the very thing I once loved about Daniel began to feel heavy. Every hug seemed to turn into something more. Every kiss felt like an invitation to intimacy I didn't have the energy for. I couldn't curl up beside him on the couch without feeling his body pressed against me, already aroused. Even a quick goodbye kiss turned deeper than I intended. I started to feel like he couldn't touch me without wanting more. At first, I brushed it off. He never forced anything, never demanded intimacy when I wasn't in the mood. But his constant passion, his constant hunger, it wore me down. I started craving comfort over desire. I wanted a safe hug, an uncharged kiss, just gentle presence. Instead, I felt like I was always the object of his desire. Slowly, resentment built. I pulled away without words, avoiding his touch, leaning back when he came close. He didn't notice. To him, he was still being the affectionate husband he had always been. He couldn't see that I wanted warmth, not intensity. And then came the night that broke us. It had been a brutal day. My boss yelled at me, and I'd gotten another difficult update about my mom. I came home on the edge of tears. Daniel did what he thought would help. He made dinner, listened while I vented, rubbed my shoulders as I sat on the couch. For a moment it felt soothing, his hands kneading away my tension. But then, as always, his lips brushed my neck. His hands slid lower. His body pressed against me, already betraying desire. And that was when I snapped. "You always make everything sexual. It's disgusting." The words cut through the room like a blade. Harsher than I meant. But they were out. He froze, stepped back slowly, his expression unreadable. I'd never seen him look at me that way. Finally, he whispered, "I can't help being attracted to my wife. I'm a man. This is normal." But I didn't want reason. I was too tired, too bitter. "Just stop," I shot back. "I can't even get a hug without it turning sexual. I'm sick of it." I'll never forget how his eyes darkened then. Something in him broke quietly. He didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He just said, "Okay, I understand." And he went to bed. That was the last time Daniel touched me. At first, I thought it was temporary, that he just needed time to recover from the sting of my words. But days turned into weeks, weeks into months. And the change in him was absolute. The man who once couldn't keep his hands off me no longer laid a finger on me. And even when I reached out, his touches were careful, brief, detached. No more playful teasing. No more pulling me into him on the couch. No more lingering kisses. He became like a shadow, kind, present, polite but hollow. At first, I felt relief. I thought this was what I wanted. Space, peace, freedom from constant passion. But soon, the absence of his touch grew louder than I could bear. I started aching for what I had pushed away. I missed being wanted. I missed the thrill of his desire. When I finally tried to talk to him about it, his answer pierced me. You told me my desire was disgusting. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable again. So I stopped. He wasn't punishing me. He was respecting what I'd said. But it felt like punishment all the same. By the third month, I was desperate. I dressed up, flirted, tried to spark what we'd lost. He smiled politely, but he didn't bite. By the fourth month, we were housemates. By the fifth, strangers. On a work trip, he barely called. When he came back, he was colder than ever, like a man who'd already let go. And then one night over dinner, he looked at me and said the words I had been dreading. I don't think we're sexually compatible anymore. Maybe we should separate. I broke down. I begged him to understand. I told him that wasn't what I meant that night, that I only wanted balance, not distance. But he shook his head. You told me my attraction to you was disgusting. I can't live in a marriage where my desire is seen as a burden. He confessed about his work trip, about a younger woman who had flirted with him at a bar. How nothing happened, but her attention made him feel wanted in a way I hadn't made him feel in months. I realized I haven't felt desired by you in half a year, he said.
And hearing that shattered me.
Now I sit here, 6 months after those 6 words, wondering if I destroyed the very thing I craved. Because the truth is, I did want his desire, I just wanted gentleness, too. And instead of telling him that softly, I labeled it disgusting. And now, I'm not sure if I've killed my marriage forever. So I ask myself, was it really all my fault? Or did he give up too easily instead of fighting for us?